Yeah. You want to get up? Yeah. You want to get up? 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 You want to get up?
From the locker room, NTW presents NSU Jams with your host, a 5'10" senior out of Tallahassee, Florida, Jeff Young. And at center, 6'4" senior out of Lockport, Louisiana, Andy Simoncelli. Welcome to this first edition of NSU Jams from the locker room. I'm your host, Jeff Young, and alongside me is my co-host, Andy Simoncelli. And this is the first ever premiere edition of NSU Jams on Big Thursday. Folks, this is probably the biggest game in Nicholls history. Alongside me is Coach Ricky Broussard, the men's basketball team. And Coach, I guess we'll just jump right into it. Northeast tonight, Stouffer Gym, probably the biggest game maybe of your career. I know your 3-year career here at Nicholls. Tell us a little bit about how the team has got to this point.
Well, we've played some outstanding basketball, and of course we have a bunch of guys that have been together for some time now, so we felt like we were ready to make our move and our mark in the conference this year. We've had 2 second-place finishes, and I don't think that we were satisfied with coming out second, and you know, we were trying to get in a position to win the Southland Conference regular season title so that we can host then the conference tournament, which is all important in terms of getting an NCAA bid. So that's where we stand now, and as you said, it looms as one of the largest games in Nicholls State history tonight.
Coach, you had a lot of big games so far this year. The first win against Northeast in about 9 tries. The win against Auburn, which is the first SEC win for Nicholls. But I would say from a journalist's point of view, the biggest game was the LSU game. National TV, and you go into overtime against a powerhouse team.
Right. In terms of Louisiana basketball and what it means in the state of Louisiana, we certainly got a lot of mileage out of that game. That game was viewed in almost every major network in Louisiana. And we played extremely well. LSU fought hard, but it took them 45 minutes to get it done. And we extended them into overtime, and it's a credit to our young men. We had just come off a big win at Auburn. We got back home, and I think that our mission was, hey, let's go out and prove that the Auburn game was not a fluke, that we beat them, you know, fair and square, so to speak, and that on their court in an SEC building, that's not easy to do. And then we took our game to another SEC building at LSU, and as you said, and we were pleased with the way we played. We just fell short.
And I think that's a good point, too. We mentioned in the beginning of the show that you've only been here 3 short years, and your first season was not really that good, but it was kind of a building season. Now you have all juniors on your team, a strong team. What kind of brought you to that next level, as you talked about, with the starting team this year?
Right. Well, naturally, recruiting is a big part of the college basketball program, and we've been fortunate at Nicholls to bring in some really outstanding basketball players. As time goes on, in fact, players that a lot of major Division I schools would certainly have recruited at the time. But when I first got here, we just did not have the talent level necessary to compete on the Division I level. So we brought in, I think, 9 freshmen my second year here. We just revamped the whole program, and those young men did better than we expected them to do. We had some quality players. Of course, coming into a program where you know you could come in and play immediately was a big factor for us. We were telling young men, hey, look, come to Nicholls and you can play for us right away and have a great 4-year career. So I would say the program was built around those young freshmen. Now these young men are juniors in our program after the 2 years that they've been with us. So I think it's the maturity, the coming together as a unit, playing together, having experienced a couple of winning seasons, and we're going after our 3rd winning season, which will be only the 2nd time in the history of Nicholls State basketball that there have been 3 winning seasons in a row.
Let's talk about that freshman class. Like one of the players, Reggie Jackson, who went on in history as one of the Colonel's best basketball players.
Right. Reggie is unbelievable talent. He came in, he was freshman of the year in the Southland Conference, his first year here. He was the 10th leading rebounder in the country. His sophomore year here, He was the 3rd leading rebounder in the United States in Division I basketball, made first-team all-conference, has made some other, Louisiana sports writers teams and so on, but those are the two that, the honors that I think stand out. He's being recognized now as one of the players that pro scouts are looking at for a basketball career beyond Nicholls State. So he's awfully good player. He's the best player. He has the best pair of hands that I've ever seen on a player. I mean, the best pair of hands I've ever coached. He's big, he's mobile, he's strong, and he can run.
In his freshman year, excuse me,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
his freshman year, he was second to Jalen Rose in scoring for all freshmen. We all know who Jalen Rose is.
That's absolutely correct. So he has put himself in a category amongst the very best players in the United States.
And I think that's a good point, too, being the best maybe hands you've ever seen. I mean, a lot of times your game plan is to go inside to your big men, Reggie Jackson, Gerard King. And we had talked earlier that a lot of teams are playing that defense, that zone defense on you, where they're clogging up the inside, forcing you to push it out to the perimeter, where Washington and Castle and Watts are stepping up and hitting the big jumpers.
Exactly. Jeff, certainly that has been something that we've noticed since we've gone into the conference schedule, and that is that teams are playing us an awful lot more zones than we faced prior to conference. I think we had 5 games in a row now where teams played a strictly zone. So what they're doing is clogging up the inside. We feel that our tandem of Gerard King, Reggie Jackson, and of course now with Bud McKnight coming off the bench, we have the best inside players in the Southland Conference. At least that's how we feel, and apparently the other coaches feel that way as well. So they're trying to stop our inside game and taking their chances on us shooting perimeter shots.
Coach, let's talk about this weekend's action. Obviously tonight we have a big game, biggest game of Nicholls' career. I would say biggest game in NCAA history.
Big Thursday.
Big game. We're playing Northeast Indians. Nicholls' kind of nemesis. We had a lot of trouble against them in the past.
Right.
But tonight if we win, we're in first place. A good vibe for the tournament.
Certainly, Andy. And the thing about it is this. The way I look at it is this. We beat Northeast at Northeast. This is our home game. We're 5-1 here at our place in our building. You know, this is, as someone said in an early publication, the Bates Motel of college basketball. We have a great home court advantage here at Nicholls State. As you and I were talking before the show went on the air, 600 student tickets were given yesterday. So we expect a sellout crowd without a doubt. And so we feel good going into this game. I think the pressure's on Northeast Louisiana, really, because they have to come into this building, and it would be an upset for them to beat us here on our home court.
Now let's talk about some of the keys tonight, Coach, for the win for the Colonels. In the previous game before, I think we only beat them by, I think it was a margin of 3 or 4 points. So what do you find? Do we step up the tempo a little bit, or do we play more conservative tempo?
No, I don't think we can step up the tempo any more than we did the first game. It was a 96-92 game. Right. But yes, we must be on the attack. We must be attacking the basket at all times. That's the way we play. When we play our best, that's what we do. The other thing, though, I think that is most important tonight is us playing good team defense. You do not win games in the Southland Conference without playing a total team defensive effort out there on the court. So we must have a good effort tonight.
Well, Coach, we're running out a little bit of time here, but we'd like to thank you, and we're wishing you the best of luck. I know everybody in here is, and I know it's a big game for you, and I think the inside scoop was before the show that we're going to win.
We're going to win.
We're going to win. So we get the inside scoop from the man himself, Coach Ricky Broussard. So we'd like to thank you again, Coach, and definitely good luck tonight. And
thank you, and appreciate it.
Definitely. But what we'd like you to do before you leave, just to kind of test your basketball skill, since you are the basketball coach, we have a little ball here, and if you would, step behind this line, Coach. I think your mic will reach if you want to walk around there, and that line right there. And we're going to see if you can, see if you can drain one right there. And
all right, it's the old Mo shot right here.
Almost.
That's it. One shot.
One shot. That's all we get time for. We'll have you back on again, though. We'll definitely give you some more tries. Okay. Thanks a lot, Coach. Well, folks, we want to take a look at some of the Colonel's upcoming opponents for tonight and this weekend. welcome back to this edition of NSU Jams. It's Big Thursday here on the Nicholls State campus. We just had Coach Ricky Broussard in the studio. We did a quick interview with him for his big game tonight, Andy, against Northeast. We all know it's a big game. We have to win this game to get back on top of the conference. And from Coach's viewpoint, I think we're going to get a W tonight.
Oh, yes. I think we're going to win the game, win the rest of our games, and then go on to host the Southland Conference tournament.
So that's your prediction?
That's my prediction, Jeff.
All right, well,
and then go on to win the NCAA tournament. Or get to the Final Four.
That's
my prediction.
All right, calm down now. Let's talk a little bit about the girls now, Andy. We really haven't talked about them in our show. They're kind of struggling this year. This season, a new head coach, Cheryl Felix, came from Iona College to take over a young Colonel basketball team. I think their record's 1-16, which really doesn't reflect how they've been playing. They've really shown improvement. I think that other schools in the conference are just powerhouses, and Nicholls has to recruit and maybe get more experience to get to that next level.
Well, I think Coach Broussard could offer her a lot of advice because his first year, the men's team was, what, 3 and something?
Right.
So they were too great themselves. And now the women's team is struggling, but I think they'll bring it back in a few years, and pretty soon both teams will be playing rather well.
What's up, man?
Towel boy.
Towel boy, folks.
I now hold in my hand the top 5 list for this evening. And David Letterman, if you're watching, this isn't a ripoff. We're paying homage to you. The top 5 from Duncannon, Pennsylvania. Top 5 reasons to watch this show. Number 5, more entertaining than Oprah. Well, you know,
yeah, well, obviously it is.
Oprah's on against us, you know, up against us. Number 4, watch before we lose our contract to Fox.
We got a contract to Fox?
I didn't sign anything. Number 3, top 5 reasons to watch this show.
Top 5 reasons.
5. I'm sure many of you out there are watching saying, what's one good reason? Got 5. Number 3, we kick ass. Number 2, reason to watch this show, Towel Boy.
Towel Boy. Give it one with Towel Boy.
And the number 1 reason to watch NSU Jams, our grade depends on it.
Yeah, so it definitely does. So everybody out there needs to watch NSU Jams. Now, folks, for the end of our show and the segment that everybody I know at home has been waiting for, I'm going to introduce it. What we've decided to do is, Andy and I, since the basketball players that we are going to shoot in this goal right above Andy. If we can zoom out on camera 3 and get a little wide shot on there. There you go. Keep going. All right, the basket right there we're going to shoot at. Now, the plan is that we're going to keep track of every time we shoot and who makes it and who misses it. Now, at the end of the show, who's ever losing has to come on the last show wearing a dress.
Which is nothing new
Okay.
for Jeff.
And let me tell you, folks, it's not going to be me, all right? So, I'm going to step up and take the first shot. Let me get my mic cord out the way here.
I'll get the rebound, Jeff, for when you miss it.
All right. And let me test the wind. Oh, you can't see me? All right. All right, here we go. One time for luck. Bend the knees.
Oh, and Jeff starts out in a hole.
All right, so I'm 0-1. Whoa, you see that on you?
You know, I played bitty basketball when I was
No
8.
pressure on you now, just because you're taller and got less hair than I do. Oh, I can't take it.
And Jeff starts out in the hole, folks.
All right, folks, so I'm in the hole, 0-1. Now, remember, the bet is they have to wear a dress at the end of the show. And, folks, we'd like to thank everybody out there for watching us. That was our first edition of NSU Jams. Kind of
Please
a little
watch
shaky,
next
but
week.
next week we will come back with more Top 5, more Towel Boy, more shooting baskets, more interviews, and all the sports information you can find in 15 minutes. And remember, our grade does depend on it. Stay tuned for NSU and You is up next, and we'd like to thank again Coach Ricky Broussard, and we will see you next Thursday, same time, same channel.
Hallucinate to say Segregate, mediate, alleviate, try not to hate. Love your mate, don't suffocate on your own hate. Designate your lover's fate. One world state as human freight. The number 8, a white black state, a gentle train, a broken crane, a heavy weight, just too late, like pretty Kate, as sex on late, in a desert state. Appreciate, depreciate, fabricate, emulate, a truth dilate, special day, the animal we ate, guilt debate, the edge some way, a better rate, a new thyroid, deliberate, fascinate, deviate, reinstate, liberate, to moderate, recreate, or detonate, annihilate, atomic fate, mediate, clear the state, activate, now radiate, a perfect state, a food on play, gravitate, the earth someday, designate, love is fate, at 98 we all rotate, hallucinate, segregate, mediate, alleviate, try not to hate, love your mate, suffocate, on your own hate, designate, love is fate, a one world state as human freight, the number 8, a white black state, a gentle train, the broken crate, a heavy weight, just too late like pretty Kate, as sex on late, down death estate, appreciate.
Three. Yeah. 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 Don't wanna get up.